Hi, welcome to today's Leaders in Mental Wellness and Diabetes, where you will hear insights from the top minds in the world of diabetes care, hosted by Dr. Char.
Well, hi, Sophia. It's very nice to meet you.
It's very nice to meet you too.
Thank you so much for coming and sitting with me for a while today.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I was really excited when you reached out about the opportunity.
Well, I have noticed that you are a spokesmodel. Oh my gosh. You have a blog. Your website's amazing. You have this North Texas girl advertised with your faith showing. That is incredible. And a young type oneer. So I am so excited to talk to you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. I feel like you did a good job of wrapping it all together, putting a nice bow on it.
Well, it's amazing. It's amazing. But when you get real with diabetes, it says that you like laughter, emotions, friendships, and knowledge. All of those things, we need them, don't we? We need them.
Yes.
Needs them. However many other types are out there, we all need them. So thank you for all you do.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you as well for all that you do.
To think that you're not just thinking of yourself and your life, but how could you help others? It's amazing. So how did you get on this path and what made you want to help others?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I guess we'll take it back to when I was first diagnosed. I was 13 years old at that time, and my family's amazing. I'm very fortunate to have such a great family, and they always raised both me, and I have a younger brother as well. We were raised that helping others and serving others is a very important part of life. And it is, I mean, it's very fulfilling. I love doing it. I love making connections with people and just helping, like you said, in any way that I can. And so I was diagnosed when I was 13, and it was a little rough just because there are so many stereotypes out there around diabetes, as we all know. And I do believe that most of that comes from the incorrect portrayal of it in the media. Like, one thing that I heard so much in middle school when I was first diagnosed is like that episode of Family Guy where they have the diabeto dude that like rolls around and eats cookies all the time. But so growing up and hearing a lot of those kind of things, and like the questions of, oh, well, I didn't think you were fat, or, oh, maybe if you just don't eat this or you do this, your condition can go away. And obviously I know that those comments come from a place of like concern. Most of the time people aren't trying to be rude, but after growing up with that and kind of learning how to deal with diabetes, and then it was 5 years later when I was 18 that it was kind of on my heart to make a blog. So that's kind of how it all started, just wanting to educate and advocate for the people in our community, because it's a very tasking condition at times physically. And then with all the stereotypes, that really adds an emotional component to it. But yeah, so that's kind of how it all started. But here we are now, 3 years into it, and it's so much fun and I love it.
Well, I was 16. And so an endocrinologist friend of mine he's my age. And so he was diagnosed maybe 12, I don't know, 11, 12. And he saw the hurt in his mama's face, because when we were diagnosed, there was a little hope. There's hope now. There's plenty of hope. There's plenty of getting healthy and living well and living life so good. And so it amazes me that you're able to do that. I'm so thankful. I'm kind of proud of you.
Well, thank you.
I don't know if that's appropriate or not, but it's like, yeah, you go, girl.
Girl, I'm proud of you too. I can't imagine being diagnosed, what'd you say, 48 years? 48 years ago. Oh my goodness. Like, how, I can't even comprehend it, like the things that you guys had to do. So I feel like I can say I'm proud of you.
Well, but we are a family. So when we meet,
true.
We're a community. So why not do this? We do it for each other. We do it for others. But isn't it great for us to have a community? I didn't even have a stick to pee on when I was diagnosed. I had to go to the doctor, and then I got sticks. It was forever getting a monitor, but still there was, as hard as technology is for me, isn't it great that we can have this kind of conversation, know that everybody in the stinking world knows about diabetes, but only we have that understanding that's unique to us, so yeah, it's amazing. So how are you growing this business? I noticed you have, I don't know how much followers are important, but you have 1,000 here, but you have almost 10,000 somewhere else. And you've got the blog going, you've got all this stuff going. And if this blonde is not natural, I pay good money for it. But when
natural.
you add 18 and 3 together, I'm saying, a girl 21 years old, my goodness, tell me how you're growing that business.
Yes, of course. So I know everyone probably says this and it's super basic, but when I first started the blog and Instagram, it truly was just to be like a hobby and to meet new people and be a part of the community. And so I'm very blessed that it has grown to like a part-time job is what I call it. So yeah, I mean, I guess it is kind of like a business, which is weird to think about, but in my bio, I have the mantra, honesty, humor, and community are the best 3 medicines besides insulin, of course. But so one thing I try to do is just be very real, because we are in the age of like influencers, which nothing's wrong like with the term influencer, but a lot of people connotate that poorly with people who are just promoting things left and right and not really connecting with their followers. And so one thing I try to do is be very transparent. Diabetes can be hard. Like, yes, I know you and I both like to have a positive outlook, but it can be hard. So just showing the realness of that and just being myself and not trying to portray something fake, I think has helped naturally grow What the Prick.
Well, and that was so funny because I'm thinking over here is her faith showing. And over here, what is this showing? And I get it. Prick your finger, prick.
Yeah.
I so get it.
I know.
But it took me for a minute. So I'm like, did you come up with that wonderful pun all by yourself, or did someone give that to you?
No, it's actually kind of a funny story that I don't think I've ever shared publicly, but yes, my faith is very important to me, and not that you can't have a little humor with faith.
Absolutely.
Right. But when I was coming up with all the names, all of them were like sugar this, sweet this, like just very like sweet names. And then somewhere in the back of my mind, I just somehow What the Prick was born. And I was like, this is very unlike all the other names that I came up with, but I'm going to roll with it.
Oh, that is so good. That is so good. And I would love to do a survey on how many non-diabetes patients recognize what it means.
I know, that would be an interesting thing.
It is so cute. It is so cute. I love it. Because, but now here's the deal. Here's where I go on the dark side again. But you don't prick your finger that much. I used to have to do it so many times a day. I had calluses.
Oh.
I don't know if that's what they're called, but
no, yeah, the little
hard. And you don't have to do that with a pump and a monitor, right?
No, not very frequently. So I do multiple daily injections. So I'm not on a pump currently, but I do wear the Freestyle Libre, and I do check it just in case sometimes, like if I have a really high or really low, but nothing compared to not wearing a CGM. So that is true.
Oh, it's a lot of, I too am taking multiple shots a day as needed because it keeps me responsible, accountable. And so I was on the pump for years and chose to know my own. And sometimes that's a good choice. And did I happen to mention this blonde is not natural? I pay good money. So sometimes I make good choices and sometimes I could make better ones. But I think it's a good thing for me to have to prick my finger, even when I have to calibrate. But I don't have to do it as much anymore either because I wear a Dexcom. And so usually when I insert my transmitter, I check it just to make sure I calibrate and make sure it's good. But unless I miss a day, once it dies and I don't get it on till the next day, have you ever done that? I have to then multiple times check my blood sugar. So on one hand, I love What the Prick. On the other hand, I'm thinking, that girl don't know what it means to prick her finger 25,000 times in a week.
I mean, did at one point, but you're right. I don't anymore.
Isn't that amazing? Aren't we fortunate? Seriously, aren't we fortunate to have technology the way we have it now, and to have a disease, I call it dis-ease, that we have to deal with. We can't forget. That's why emotionally I work so hard, because it's constant. It never goes away. I think you're using humor and your good work to make it a positive for you, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That is so good. That's so good. The journey with diabetes, what's something positive and something negative that's impacted you with this journey of 3 years?
That's a really good question. I know. So I feel like there are quite a lot of positives that I try and remind myself of frequently if I am having a bad day. But one that's been on my mind the past couple of days, because I've been hanging out with her, is my best friend, Lauren. Absolutely love her. And not like, she has type 1 diabetes. So she's like my bestie, but she's also my like best friend in the whole world. And I would not have met her if it wasn't for type 1 diabetes. She's actually coming over tomorrow. We're going to have a little sleepover, little pool night. So that's a big positive for sure, is the people that I've met in my life because of type 1 diabetes. And a negative, I would say, I would say maybe being diagnosed around the age that I was. That is a very transitional time in a person's life, middle school, teenage years, early teenage years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that I grew up a lot faster than a lot of my friends in some ways, just having to take on that responsibility. But yeah, I guess those would be the two.
Yeah, it's tough. And yet, if we make the best of it, of any circumstance, any situation, yeah, I saw the pic of you and your friend, and your blood sugar's elevated. And I'm thinking they ate the same thing. They ate together. They've been together more than just for this picture. 2 hours ago, they were eating something. That's another negative.
That night.
And that's another negative, because when people see your numbers, they think they know you. Right? They think they know what you've been doing. So that reaction when you were diagnosed, can you put a word to it? Can you put a phrase to it? Have you ever been down that road, like emotionally, what it said to you?
I feel like in the moment, like you mean like the very moment that I found out?
Yeah, when you first found out, had you had anybody in your family type 1? Were you the first?
I did not. Yeah, I was
So
the first.
it was a shock to mama. It was a shock to you. It was a shock to everybody, right?
Yes, it was.
So I'm just curious, since emotions is what I'm all about, I'm just curious how that impacted you, and what your reaction was to it.
Yeah, so in the moment, I think the best word to describe it is just simply scared. Like, I remember hearing that and being like, what does that mean? I don't know what's going to happen. And I'd never been in the hospital at that point. And then they were like, you're going to have to go to the hospital. And at that point, I was terrified of needles as well.
Imagine.
So I think it was just like scared. I was like, oh, what's going to happen? I don't know.
So were you very, very high? Is that why they hospitalized you?
Yes. Yes.
So they had to get you back into sync. And, the few times that my monitor would not read my numbers, I'm like, my eyes couldn't get, I don't want little beady eyes, but boy, they got way too big, because you didn't know what to do with that fear, right?
Yeah.
You just didn't know what to do with the fear, but somehow you've taken hold, and you've managed to turn it into the right kind of things. That is more than amazing. That's profound, because that fear can cause a chicken, it can cause a victim, it can cause a bully, it can cause everything that's negative to be who you become. And obviously, you are none of those. But yeah, that's so good. That's so good. What advice do you give people?
That's a good one. I accidentally bumped my desk. I think there's so much advice, like, and I try and like talk to people and get to know them if they're like looking for tips or advice, just so I can see what they're personally going through to see if I have anything that I think would help them the most. But one general piece of advice that I love is blood sugars are information and not judgments. So obviously you don't want to leave a high or low blood sugar like you want to act, you want to judge it in that way. But I try to encourage people not to beat themselves up about it, rather look at a high or low and say, okay, this happened because I maybe worked out differently, or I ate something new and I didn't correctly count carbs. So just to kind of look at it in that way.
I love that, taking responsibility for it, but not judging. Who taught you not to judge? There are so many people come to diabetes with an already persona of judgment because it's been bestowed upon them, because they've learned to be judgmental toward themselves because others have been judgmental to them. So where did you learn to give grace to yourself and to not be judgmental so that you can go through this world in such a magnificent, large way and help others not do that to themselves? Who taught you that? Where did you learn it?
Yeah, so I definitely have a lot of people in my life that have been amazing influences on me. I don't think I could ever name them all, but I would definitely say I got that from my mom. She's an amazing woman. She is actually a nutritionist, and so it was very helpful.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so for when I was first diagnosed, to have her to help me understand macronutrients and carbs and things like that. But she's the sweetest lady ever, and I think I get a lot of that from her.
Do you prescribe more to the like plant-based or keto, or with a mama like that? I bet you have great, I bet you have great food in the kitchen too.
Yeah, I mean, I do. She definitely taught us well, because now I live on my own, but I've taken a lot of recipes from her.
Chicken and dumplings, when I go home to my mama, it's like cornbread. Oh yes, we get beans, we get lentils, but we get cornbread and all those things.
So good.
It does sound good, doesn't it? But it's not something we can live on all the time. So with that being said, with fear, and then already knowledgeable probably at 13 more about food than some, it wasn't a path that part of the path, that part of the journey wasn't detrimental for you.
No, I wouldn't say detrimental. Of course it was hard, but it's hard for all of us going through a lifestyle like change diagnosis like that. But yeah, I wouldn't say detrimental necessarily.
So when people come to you, and we'll close here in a minute, I won't bore you with too many questions, but when people come to you, do you feel more comfortable? Do you feel better equipped to help them with things like their food or exercise or their emotions? Where do you feel the most comfort zone in helping people?
Yeah, so I always say, first of all, I don't think I will ever be an expert on diabetes. Like, I learn new things every day, and I think I always will. So I guess where I feel most comfortable giving advice is probably emotions, just because I can speak from experience with that. And when people come to me with maybe an emotional situation, I just feel like I can help out best in that realm of diabetes.
Well, that is a great place for us to stop, because now we are diabesties. Is that what you called it?
Diabesties.
We are diabesties because we connect with the type 1. We connect with the humor, and we connect with helping others, but we also connect around the emotional world. Because all of those things, if you can help someone adjust that, I believe that is key. So that's awesome. 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 Is there anything else you would like to say to my world about diabetes that maybe I haven't asked, or something you'd like to tell the world from my little screen?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything else really, but I just wanted to say thank you for having me on here. And I love that you are so focused on the emotional side of diabetes. I think that's a great thing and something that is still kind of new to the world of diabetes because it is seen as so physical. So I think it's great that you are doing what you're doing.
Well, thank you. I didn't even start college until I was older than you. And I always had a desire to help people. And it just transcended into diabetes patients because that's what I've always been. That's what I've always been. So I love it. And I love that you love it. And I love that you like yellow. I have yellow. Did you notice? Can you see? They put yellow,
Is
a
that a
yellow
butterfly?
butterfly on my blue nails and offered me a pink one, of which I love. And I said, no, the yellow will stand out more.
I love it. I
So,
love that.
so let me end with this and say, you actually stand out like a butterfly, and that transformative way of helping people and how your smile shows forth in all of that without a word. Without a word, you could help people. And with your words and with all this stuff you're doing, I can't help but follow you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So nice.
Thank you. And we'll talk again.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.